Yo, it is another beautiful day out here up at the park. So yeah, we are getting into spring now. This is probably my favorite time of the year. Where I'm from, it's a little bit windy out here. So it's not maybe as enjoyable typically every day, but right now it's pretty good though. Not very windy or anything. Anyways, today we're gonna talk about why, if you or anyone plays video games, you are a loser. So now let me kind of break this down for you guys. I know it's kind of a rage bait title, but essentially what everyone wants to do is their natural instincts, which is to hunt. Naturally, we are hunters. We typically throw things, use traps, things like this. We're not really like chasers exactly, but we do want to catch prey. And usually when I'm saying hunting, it's not like hunting how like animals hunt, right? Like usually like if a bird or a cheetah or something is going to be hunting a cat, you know, a cat or a bird is going to be hunting, they're usually going to be actively pursuing something, either through flight or a cat with chasing and running, right? So what I want to talk about here though is humans are hunters, and they want to essentially end the life of something, but that's in order to consume, because in life, in order to, it's just the way, the natural order, in order to prosper and survive and continue on your line and your bloodline, you need to consume those things around you. So for example, cows, they consume grass, which is alive as well, and all the living source comes from the sun, right? So the plants get the sun, photosynthesis. I don't know, you guys probably learned this in biology. It's pretty basic biology 101. Not saying that all of that is true, but yeah, the sun gives photosynthesis to the plants, so the plants grow. The herbivores eat the plants, then the carnivores and the predators eat the herbivores, and the grazing animals, and then that's how you have the circle of life, right? I mean, obviously there's a lot more complex than that. That is a very basic layout of how life cycle works and the like general ecosystems and things like this, right? You have birds of prey that eat like squirrels and stuff like that too. Obviously there's differences, and then like you have lizards and things like that that will eat a bunch of different types of, you know, insects. They'll eat maybe some birds sometimes. Like I think I've seen frogs eat birds and whatever, so it kind of depends on the situation. But yeah, nice, good old sky trails coming out. That's the only thing about where I live is it's very beautiful out here, but there's a lot of sky trails, if you know what I mean. Anyways, as I was saying, because the people who control our lives and run the world, they know that the natural instincts of all animals, which we are animals, obviously we have a higher thinking capability than animals do, as far as like, you know, a lion or whatever, but we do still run, I think, a lot more off instinct than people, like other human beings, realize. And that's why we have a lot of these like innate reactions, like, you know, anything with like the hormones and biochemistry that drive you for things like intercourse, things like hunting, and the hunting and the drive to pursue and end the life of other living things in order to consume and continue and prosper with your own life force and living. Because of this drive that we have, that's why you see a lot of kids being obsessed with video games, for example, and in particular Call of Duty, like ASIM games like Dead by Daylight. I don't know, I mean, a lot of like, you know, a lot of shooting games, which are, what's the end result? You end the other player, right, basically. So it's a lot of hunting. And because the people who control everything, the people who are the most power, the people that you don't see behind the scenes, right, because they know that we are like this, that we have this innate drive and hunger and want to hunt and catch prey, or whatever, however you want to say it, they use these video games because we can't really do that, right? There's a ton of laws that suppress the ability to go, like you can't just go to a forest, you need tags, things like this. You have to get a gun registered, you have to have proper ammo and all this, and also a lot of people are unhealthy and not really well equipped and don't know how to trap the more natural way, which would be like trappers. Like people, I've seen someone who was on YouTube that's like, they have like a trapping channel or whatever, and they do trapping in Canada out in the winter and whatever, and getting animals and all that, you know, foxes, beavers, whatever it is, you know, they trap stuff. But you can't do any of these things that we would normally do. It's also hard to do that when you're in a city, right? You're not in a forest where there's a ton of animals readily available around you, which even if they are, you have to be skilled to catch them, which is another point that I could probably make on a separate video. Well, I kind of already made that when I was talking about like all living things want to live, right? They all have these abilities to escape, but if you unlock the potential and learn and understand how to catch these animals, then you are going to be a more successful hunter. And because you are a more successful hunter, you're going to thrive and be stronger than people who aren't. Which, because we have that drive to do that for survival and to be strong, we have this constant drive to want to play things like video games, right? Even if you look at like, say, like let's use Pokemon as an example, like Pokemon trading card game and Pokemon like Go, for example, where you have like your teams and you battle each other, or the Pokemon games where you go out in the wild and you catch animals and then you collect them and then you battle other people. The end result is always to be the more dominating person, I guess, or whatever, or faction or whatever. Depends on what game you're playing, right? You're always trying to pursue the power role and being in the position of power and controlling what happens and what not, winning, things like this, right? Because your drive to win and be the best like that comes also, I think, from a natural drive as well too, because typically if you were to lose in a situation out in nature, that would mean the end of your existence, right? So that's not a good result, right? But yeah, I just wanted to kind of tell you guys that also the reason why you are a loser if you play video games is because all of us are people who are basically servants to this system, essentially, because we're not allowed to do what we want to. So because we can't do what we want to, and we live in a city, things like this, and we're not really even able to, like we have no outlets to do naturally what we want to do, like our impulses and things like this, we use video games basically as a scapegoat. So it's just like from the perspective of the outside, if you did know the truth and like how the world is supposed to be, you would look at like the point I'm making is modern humans in general are losers when you're looking at it from like a natural perspective or from like nature's perspective. Even though obviously, like I've said in previous videos, nature only punishes you for living unnaturally because of how the world is set up and the natural laws that must be followed under those particular, I don't know if you want to call them guidelines, but basically nature doesn't really care if you do good or not. It's just that you will get less progress or whatever even if you want to look at life as a video game, or well, not as a video game, but as a game, right? Like you're gonna have lower HP or whatever if you do things that aren't natural or go against nature. So yeah, you're never really going to be truly happy. I think a lot of people use video games to fill happiness and to fill up time also because they're just bored, which makes sense. I myself do play video games, and I know some of you guys are going to be like, why do you play video games if it makes you a loser? Well, I find that playing video games and like kind of nerdy stuff, whatever, I don't really do too much of like Pokemon card game battling or whatever, but I get the appeal and I get why people do it. Because I think that life is all about having fun, and if you feel like that's something that's fun, and yes, maybe it's not exactly what you want to be doing, like maybe you technically want to be hunting, but since you can't really do that, or it's really expensive, or it's too much of a pain in the ass to do it because you live in a city, you have to like drive way out to go even do that, and then you have to figure out all the rules, and then there's like guidelines and like registering your gun, and yeah, it actually gets pretty expensive too. So I can totally understand why people don't do it. and that's why I think people do video games. Now, is there probably something that you could spend more of your time on? You could probably spend more time on your health, things like this, living more naturally, and I could maybe make an argument, even though I think if you work too much it causes too much stress, but if you worked enough, saved up money, and were able to invest in like a farm or getting out of the city, then that would probably be worth it too. Those are probably things that you can spend your time on better, but this all comes down to somewhat a personal preference, and then like balancing also all of these things in life too. So yes, does playing video games make you a loser? Technically, yes. Is it going to be the end of the world if you do it? No. And I even do it myself, and I think it's okay to have fun every now and then. I mean, people watch TV, and honestly watching TV probably makes you a loser and things like this too, if you're looking at it from a natural perspective. But we also live in a modern society, and we have to kind of roll with the punches. But I think it's important to be aware that it does technically make you a loser. So, and if you can limit it or figure out ways to live better, like for example going out to the park like I am, enjoying nature a little bit more, getting sun at least a little bit, and kind of having a balance between those things. So, but anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.